Welcome to our 2022 high school football season week 7 video review. This week we're going to take a look at some mechanics things specifically, some good mechanics and then some mechanics we need to improve upon. We're going to take a look at intentional grounding, and then we're going to focus heavily on specifics on mechanics and coverage of punt plays. So let's get into our first video. So in our play number 1 here of the game, as Huddle says, this is play number 1. Focus on the clock, and notice the clock is running on the kickoff. Not exactly sure why, but remember, we may be in week 7, but our clock operators may not be in week 7. So take a peek at the clock, especially on kickoff, so we can get the timing right. Our next play here, we will focus on the line judge. And we have a ball thrown forward, incomplete pass in the line judge side. And line judge reached down to grab the ball before giving any type of signal. Let's first focus on giving a proper signal, then let's focus on dead ball officiating, and then lastly, we can focus on getting a ball in for the next play. Our next play, we're going to focus on the back judge, and notice how it looks like the back judge has both his hands in his pockets, and appearance does matter. This type of appearance may give the opinion of the coaches, players, and fans that you're not into the game or want to be there. Even though you may be, they don't know that. So let's keep that in mind when we're out there. Our physical mannerisms can impact the thoughts of others towards you and how the officials are wanting to be there or not wanting to be there. Keep that in mind. Keep your hands out of your pockets, because it just does not look appropriate. And that will be one less thing for people to have an issue with how we officiate the game. On this play, we're going to focus on a mechanic of using the beanbag, and this play was sent in by an official who said on the field there was not a beanbag thrown, and I did not see one on this play. The ruling was a fumble. Let's remember, the beanbag's there to communicate that. The beanbag is also used if we need to know the spot of the fumble. So let's remember to use the beanbag to communicate, first, that we know there was a fumble, or ruling there was a fumble, and second, in case we need that spot of the fumble. And we may need to know the spot of the fumble for penalty enforcement reasons. On this play, we're going to take a look at where Rule 752D, which is the exception to intentional grounding. And in this case, we have a quarterback scrambling. So the first part of the rule is a quarterback has to get outside the free blocking zone, which it clearly does here. The second part is the ball has to go beyond the line of scrimmage or line of scrimmage extended. In this particular case, you can see the ball comes up short. But one factor here is that someone on the sideline catches the ball. So something we have to take in consideration here is, what if the ball was batted down by someone on the sideline or hits maybe the back stake of the chains? We have to consider that, and we have to determine maybe that it would have crossed or would not have crossed based upon it. In this particular case, it does not appear the ball would have made it across the line of scrimmage, though. The other thing to look at in this particular play is when the quarterback threw the ball, he was in his own end zone. He was in Team A's end zone. So he committed the foul in the end zone, so the flag would be thrown in the end zone. So the ruling would be the penalty was committed in the end zone results in a safety. The other thing on these particular plays is it will take good crew communication and effective communication to get these calls right. Keep that in mind. And in comparison, we're going to take a look at this play, which is a legal intention grounding applied to 752D, where the quarterback gets outside the free blocking zone, throws the pass forward, and it crosses the line of scrimmage. This is legal on this play. Our next play here, we're going to look at ineligibles downfield, specifically the lineman, and the umpire does a good job here of getting these linemen. Notice our line of scrimmage was a 40-yard line. We have 2 linemen to go downfield. They're between the 45 and 50, and then the ball is thrown about the 46-yard line, where it's caught by number 35, who is beyond the line of scrimmage. So this is an ineligible lineman downfield. Notice the umpire throws the flag. This is a good job on this play at catching this. This type of play also illustrates how important it is for the following mechanics. 1, for the umpire to step up near the line of scrimmage to rule on this. 2, for the head lineman and line judge to stay near the line of scrimmage so they can see whether the ball crosses the line of scrimmage and if the linemen were downfield or not. Our next play here, we're going to look at the right side of our screen as the play ends, and notice the back judge comes hustling in to close down the play out of bounds and help clean up things. This is a great job by the back judge here. On this particular play, our focus will be on the head linesman, and we have to set up the scenario. We have a 4th and short yardage. We have under 2 minutes to go in the game, and we have a 7-6 game. Notice how the head lineman comes down to the spot, comes in, pinches in, comes in strong with a good strong spot to sell this call. On these types of plays, which we may have 2 or 3 times in a game, this is how we need our mechanics to be to sell this type of spot. Our next play here, we're going to illustrate a good job by the line judge here of not ball watching on this particular play. So this is a punt play where we're going to look at two players in approximately the middle of the field between the 30 and 35 yard line. You're going to see them engage a little bit of a tussle here as they begin to wrestle around. And once they go down in the ground, you're going to see the player on top in the dark. He's going to punch the player in white. This is a good job by the line judge who stayed focused on this play and did not ball watch and was able to observe this type of action and be able to flag this on this play. So in our next play, we're going to take some time and focus on punt play, and we're going to specifically look here on this particular play at the action right behind the umpire. So the head lineman side of the field is on our near side. The line judge is on the far side, and notice that the umpire turns towards the head lineman side of the field. And you'll notice a block that occurs right behind the umpire. We're going to look at this play one more time, and again, the key here is that the umpire in this case turns towards the head lineman's side of the field instead of the line judge side of the field. And the block occurs right behind over his shoulder on the line judge side of the field. Now we're going to take this a little bit more in depth now and take a look at why mechanics are so important on our punt plays. We tend to have a higher chance of blindside blocks on turnovers such as interception, on kickoffs, and specifically on punt plays. We're going to focus on that because although we are getting blindside blocks on punt plays, I took a random sample of about 20 games, watched all the punt plays, and we are missing a significantly high number of blindside blocks on these plays. So let's look at some mechanics on a punt situation. I took a few elements of the mechanics out of each position. And in this case, we're going to look at the referee's focus after a punt. And this is not all inclusive, but their focus is to be behind the line of scrimmage, specifically the kicker and the action back there, and then focus on the line of scrimmage itself and the action there after the punt. The umpire's mechanics after the punt, some items is supposed to pivot or turn towards the line judge side of the field, and this is important as you will see as a diagram I will show shortly. Observe the blocks in the side zone on the line judge side of the field. Move downfield slowly and be alert to focus for fouls in the secondary. The line judge's focus after the punt should be released from the line of scrimmage on the snap. Move downfield and cover your side from the neutral zone to the deepest receivers on your side of the field. The head lineman's mechanics after a punt is to hold the line of scrimmage after the snap because you have to know if the ball has crossed the neutral zone or not. This is important. Move slowly and very slowly downfield. Cover your side from the neutral zone to the deepest receiver. The back judge after mechanics on a punt. So first of all, the position of the back judge needs to be on the head lineman side of the field, and this is important. Move upfield with the runner until the runner is finally turned over to the wing officials to observe, and then observe action behind the play. Here are a couple items to keep in mind to help you officiate punt plays in particular. So high school punters, on about average, is only kicking the ball about 25 to 30 yards. Now, there are a few who may kick it longer, and there are a couple times when we may have it shorter, but on average, we're going to see the ball about 25 to 30 yards. So don't overrun the play or exceed the area that you need to cover. Next, first touching by K does not mean we sound the whistle immediately. Use your beanbag first to mark that spot. Assess the situation and see if R, because R can potentially pick that ball up if we're beyond the line of scrimmage and run with it if K is not in possession of it. Continue to scan your area for players who are engaged or about to engage in action to look for legal play. If you look for the players that are engaged, you will most likely find where there's potential for particular fouls and so forth. So in this diagram, we're going to break down the mechanics for pre-snap for a punt. And this would be if we had a right-footed kicker in this play. So we're going to start with the referee who's on the kicking side leg of the kicker. And the referee is in the backfield and wants to position themselves slightly to the right of the kicker and slightly behind so the referee can observe both the kicker and any of the protectors in the backfield. Then we're going to switch to the umpire, who's basically in the yellow triangle area. And the umpire is going to focus on the snapper and particularly the guards next to him and have focus into that area. Then we're going to switch over to the head linesman, who's going to have to know eligible receivers and ineligibles. And the head linesman has that line of scrimmage, and that ends there on the end of their line, and then the pink coverage area. And then we'll flip over to the line judge side, who basically has the same responsibility of knowing eligibles and ineligibles, has the blue shaded area predominantly, and also has the players on the end of the line of scrimmage. And then we switch to the back judge, pre-snap, who needs to be positioned on the headline side of the field, because the line judge will be leaving the line of scrimmage at the snap, and the head linesman will be staying. So the back judge will always be on the head linesman side of the field. And the back judge will have the backs and that area of coverage slightly shaded in the lighter green color. So in our next diagram, we're going to look at the post punt after the kick and after the ball has crossed the line of scrimmage, and what particularly each position needs to do. So we're going to start with the referee again, and here we have a right-footed kicker. And the referee is still going to have that focus basically near or in that purple shaded triangle area, which is particularly the backs and the kicker. And then they're going to also have to help observe with some of the line of scrimmage play. And that's going to be their area of focus back there. As we look at the head linesman needs to stay on the line of scrimmage, and their corner area or triangle area of focus will be shaded in the yellow. And they want to stay on that line of scrimmage, ball crosses, and basically turn downfield and move very deliberately and slowly, observing the play up in action, because they have to remember they have the back judge down deeper. In this particular case, we'll switch over to the back judge, who is shaded. Predominant area of coverage is in red. And they're going to observe those deep receivers. Obviously, they're going to have on long kicks or medium range kicks, the first touching possession, and a rule on those types of things. Then we're going to switch over to the line judge side of the field at the top of our screen. And we know that the line judge leaves at the snap and goes downfield. And so we see the red arrow of the line judge going downfield. Again, remember, don't overrun this. And also, line judge, keep your attention focused on the field and not on the sideline here, because that's where the action is. And because that line judge is vacating that side of the field, notice here we have a yellow arrow for the umpire, and they have the turquoise colored shaded triangle of coverage where they're going to turn towards the line judge side of the field. And remember the punt play that I just showed you in the game. So the reason why the mechanics is important here, that the umpire turns towards the line judge side of the field, is you can see that area is somewhat becoming vacated by the line judge coming downfield, where the head linesman is staying on the line of scrimmage. So if the umpire turns towards the line judge side of the field, we're kind of getting that coverage we need in that vacated area. And I'm not saying that we're always going to get all the illegal blocks and so forth, because as you can see, this needs to be a very choreographed, and everybody needs to be on the same exact page almost at the same time, which is almost impossible. And then we're expecting high school football players to also be on the same page with us, and we know that's not going to be possible on every punt play. But I think if we work to get this mechanic down better and focus on this, I think we'll have better coverage and be able to observe the blocks and play better, and get more of some of the illegal blocking that is occurring on punt plays. Just a few final thoughts on punt plays. Not all punt plays are going to go as planned. So officials will need to adjust coverage based upon the play. We just have to kind of read the play and adjust as needed. We can't always just count specifically on the mechanics to work every particular punt play, because there's a lot of what ifs on punts, and we can what if every situation thousands of times. So just be aware of that, and just be ready for that, and be focused. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to view our Week 7 video review football plays for this week. And also, I hope there was something in the video that has helped you this week or will prepare you for the upcoming games. Also, I hope you stay safe, and hope to see you back next week for our Week 8 video review. Until then, take care.